What's up, fam? I hope that this vlog greets you feeling the very best of spirits. As many of you already know, my vlogs are designed to inspire, empower, and spark inner dialogue so that we begin thinking more critically and ultimately waking up to our fullest self-realization, be it mentally, physically, or spiritually. Many of you write asking me questions that we already have access to within our core essence, or better yet, we can access the answers to our most pressing questions by connecting with the omniversal mind of all of creation. I would like to dedicate this video in showing you how to create your own tool or consciousness GPFS, which in this case stands for Guide Panel for Spirit. What better way to create a conduit for your own spirit than one that's created from your own energy, mind projection, and intent? You'll need a CD, a black ink pen, a fine tip Sharpie, a ruler or equivalent to a ruler, paper, and a needle and thread, or a safety pin and thread, or a pendulum with the crystal, or whatever you choose. The first thing we need to do is decide what kind of GPFS we want to create. Your GPFS can be very simple and have a few simple lanes, or you can make it more interesting and create a primary and secondary lane, or as many lane options as you possibly can come up with. What are primary and secondary lanes? Your primary lane are your chart options, names, numbers, or titles that you initially think of. These options will ultimately be written into the blank spaces of your chart. And your secondary, obviously, will be your second option list to be written in connection to your chart division lines. As an example of a primary and secondary lane, as well as a demonstration for this video, I will now create my primary lane. This primary lane will list options to read and measure emotion and discernment. My secondary lane will list options to measure calibration level based on various levels of degrees. I have decided that my primary lane options are going to be true, false, somewhat true, not sure, and my emotion options are love, hate, fear, sad. My secondary lane options are low, somewhat low, medium, high, and neutral. Now that we've defined our secondary and primary lanes, now let's start laying down our chart. First, we take our CD and we place it firmly against a clean sheet of paper. We take our fine tip Sharpie and we trace the outer rounds. Hold the CD firmly in place and gently trace around it. Still firmly holding the CD in place, we're going to trace the center like so. Again, holding the CD in place, we're going to take our marker and put a nice, strong, dotted circle in the center of the circle of the CD like so. And there we have the very foundation of our chart. Now, we're going to take our ruler, or the equivalent of a ruler, and we're going to place it in a horizontal position just above our center point, this black dot here in the center. And we're going to evenly place this ruler just outside of this dotted line. We're going to hold it firmly in place and we're going to trace across like so. We're going to repeat this process vertically just outside of the center point here, the dark circle that we created. We're going to do a vertical line like so. And since we have 8 option lines, we need 8 spaces. So I'm going to take this ruler and put it at a 90-degree angle. And again, using the center point as my guide, I'm going to trace as such. And we're going to repeat at a 90-degree angle, like so. There. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spaces. Now, we want to create our secondary lane. Again, our secondary lane are going to be the dividers. Okay, so since we have 5 secondary lanes, we want to create 5 extensions. So I'm going to use this same line to create 2 option lines. So all we're going to do is take our ruler and align it in the same way that we created this particular line, and we're just going to extend it like this. Extend it from the bottom and now to the top. And we're going to repeat these steps until we get 5 option lines. So there you have it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 secondary lanes. The next thing we want to do is fill in the spaces. So let's fill in our primary lanes first. And we want to start from the top and work our way around counterclockwise. We decided that our primary lane options are going to be true. So we're going to write it legibly with the black ink pen. False, somewhat true, not sure. We got love, hate, fear, and sad. Now, we're going to fill in our secondary lanes. Again, starting from the top, we're going to go with low here at the very top, somewhat low, medium, high, and neutral. So there we have. Our primary lanes are filled in and our secondary lanes are filled in. Once your chart is completed, you will now begin testing it. And you test it by taking your needle and thread, your safety pin or thread, or your pendulum, and holding it to the center or holding it in the center like such. Remember the black dot that we started off creating this chart with? You always want to make sure that you hold it and that it is touching this dot before lifting it up. You simply ask whatever question you have, a test question, and then lift it up and watch what direction the pendulum pin goes to. Again, if it's moving in a primary option lane, it will clearly define and show you that. If it's going on a secondary lane, it will stay along the lines here. The pendulum pin will move directly on top of the division line. And you want to really, really pay attention to your starting point and the level and degree in terms of distance to which it is going. Because, for instance, here on this line, if it's swinging both ways, if you're only looking at the direction, it can be very confusing. However, if you keep it on the center point here and pay attention to what area is moving more away from your center point, this will give you your answer. This is the very basic concept and idea as to how you can create your own chart. Again, this is just to get you guys thinking in the right direction. You do not have to create a chart just like the one I've demonstrated. You can make it as simple and as complex as you would like. This is something to get you guys moving in the direction of connecting more with your inner core essence. Get as creative as you possibly can. Keep your intentions pure. Continue to learn, grow, and question. And as always, family, you are loved beyond measure, and happy travels.